Greetings, music fans, and welcome to BC's Vinyl Odyssey, episode 2. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the genius of Kate Bush. So without further ado, cue the titles. So the album we're going to focus on today is Never Forever by Kate Bush, one of my biggest musical influences. Never Forever was her third studio album, following on from 1978's The Kick Inside, and also released the same year, Lionheart. Kate's first two albums were produced by Andrew Powell and had a particular sound, but by 1979 her confidence had grown. She was anxious to take full control to achieve her artistic vision. In 1979, the live EP On Stage was released. Kate produced this herself, with Lionheart's engineer John Kelly acting as co-producer. All subsequent releases will be produced by Kate. So just a quick word about on-stage vinyl pressings. This EP was released as a 7-inch and a 12-inch record. The 7-inch was unusual that it ran at 33 RPM against a usual 45 RPM. This is the first Canadian 12-inch pressing. I've compared this to several European pressings, and the Canadian version is the only version that doesn't have severe inner groove distortion on both sides. I haven't heard the Japanese and the Australian 12-inch releases, so if anyone out there in vinyl land own these, please leave me a comment. I've come to London's busy Oxford Street. Behind me is the site of the original Air Studios. The studios opened in 1970 and closed its doors in 1991. I'm stood outside number 214. As you can see, it's been developed into being an IKEA. Yay! Air Studios was situated on the 4th floor here. In September 1979, Kate and John Kelly entered Air Studios to start work on the album, Never Forever. I'm now stood outside the world-famous Abbey Road Studios. In January 1980, Kate and engineer John Kelly continued work on the album. The recording was completed on May the 10th, 1980. As I mentioned before, Kate's first two albums had a particular sound. A live band in the studio supported by Andrew Powell's lush orchestral arrangements. But with Never Forever, Kate really let her imagination go wild. A lot of the sonic exploration on Never Forever was most likely due to the influence of Peter Gabriel. Kate had appeared on 2 tracks on Peter's self-titled 1980 album, No Self-Control and Games Without Frontiers. Kate later thanked Peter on her album credits, saying, "Thanks for opening the windows." The album features innovative uses of synthesizers and drum machines. Here's an extract from one of my favorite tracks, Egypt. Playing along to the original solo in this extract. And like Max Middleton, who originally recorded it, I was playing it on the Mini Moog synthesizer. The solo is over a 7/8 vamp. Never Forever was eventually released on the 8th of September 1980 by EMI. The album went straight to number 1 in the UK and was Kate's first number 1. The album spawned 3 singles. The first of the singles, Breathing, was released on the 14th of April 1980, peaking at number 16 in the UK charts. Breathing is about a fetus very much aware of what is going on outside the womb and frightened by nuclear fallout, which implies that the song is set either during a nuclear war or a post-apocalyptic setting. The B-side is a non-album track, The Empty Bullring. The cover art was designed by Paul Maxwell. Babushka was recorded at Abbey Road Studios and was released on the 27th of June 1980. It was the most successful of the 3 singles, peaking at number 5 in the UK. The B-side was a non-album track called Rantan Waltz. Babushka chronicles a wife's desire to test her husband's loyalty. The song is notable for featuring the Fairlight digital synthesizer, which cost a whopping £12,000 in 1979. The broken glass sounds heard in the song were actual crockery recorded into the Fairlight and then manipulated. A highlight for the song for me is John Giblin's great fretless bass playing. The single was only released as a 7-inch release. This is the first UK pressing, and sonically it has a great sound. I love the photography on this, which was shot by Kate's brother John Carter Bush. Both songs have their own image. Army Dreamers was released September 22nd, 1980. It peaked at number 16 in the UK charts. The song is about the effects of war and about a mother who grieves for a young adult son who was killed in military maneuvers. The single version differs from the album track in that it is longer and has a dead stop. The album version fades out. The B-side features 2 tracks, Delius, which is the second track on Never Forever, and Passing Through Air, a non-album track. This track dates back to 1973 and was recorded shortly after Kate's 15th birthday. The cover photography is by Kate's brother John. The disc was cut by Chris Blair, who also cut Never Forever itself. Here's an interesting fact about 2 of the singles I've just been talking about. Written in the dead wax of Breathing and Army Dreamers are messages. On Breathing side A, it says, "We all share the same air." Side B, it says, "Happy anniversary to the Peas." On Army Dreamers side A, it says, "Life is to love." Many of Kate's other releases have messages written in the dead wax. Let's take a closer look at the record sleeve and artwork. The album cover is an illustration by artist Nick Price. Kate was apparently very pleased with the results, and I have to say, so am I. It's definitely one of my favourite album covers. Of the concept, Bush said it reflects the title, depicting good or bad things that emerge from oneself. It's a very nice gatefold release, with photos on the back by Kate's brother John. It's definitely a quality release, nice thick card. Let's take a look at the vinyl now. Different labels on both sides, which is a nice touch. This is manufactured by EMI. The vinyl lacquer was cut by Chris Blair. Now, if you look on the dead wax on side B, there's some square framed spectacles, which indicates it's a Chris Blair cut. This is the first UK pressing. Now, actually, originally, I owned a Greek pressing, which I didn't really care for and got rid of. But I'm really happy with the first UK pressing. It's a nice warm sound, very detailed, huge sound stage. Now, if you want to buy a good near-mint copy of either of these 2 records I've discussed today, for on stage, I recommend the Canadian pressing, and you can expect to pay around £20 to £30. It's a bit rarer in the UK as it's a Canadian pressing. For Never Forever, I recommend the UK first pressing, and this you can expect to pay around £15 to £20. Now, here's an interesting fact you might not be aware of. There's a KT symbol hidden in plain sight on all of Kate's albums. On Lionheart, it's really easy to see because it's on this box here. But if we go back to Never Forever, it's a tricky one to spot as it's on the stem of the rose down here. So see if you can play a game and try and spot these on all of Kate's albums. Now, before I sum up, we're going to have a quick word from this week's sponsor. Thank you, Marilyn the dog, this week's sponsor. Now, it's always a pleasure to talk about Kate Bush, and as I mentioned at the start of the video, she's definitely one of my biggest musical influences. There aren't too many artists that can move me to tears through the beauty of music. Now, if someone pointed a bazooka at my head and said, pick a favourite song from this album, I'd say you're going to have to blow me up because I actually love them all. I couldn't choose. I really hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, and I look forward to seeing you again on BC's Vinyl Odyssey.